It's time now for Perspective. My guest today is Jarrett Adams, a man who, while still a teenager, was sentenced to 28 years in prison in the United States. He always maintained his innocence, and after almost 10 long years in jail with the help of the Wisconsin Innocence Project, he was exonerated. Determined to put his ordeal to good use, he trained as an attorney, specialising in criminal defence and civil rights cases, and he's now also written a memoir called Redeeming Justice. Jarrett Adams, thank you so much for speaking to us on France 24 today. Now, you were sent to jail for a crime that you didn't commit. What does that do to a person psychologically?
Psychologically, it's hard to describe into words. I did my best by putting it into a book. But what it does is it affects more than just the person itself. Its effects is on the community of the wrongfully convicted, as well as the family as well. For me, at a 17-year-old, it was even tougher because most of the important maturation years of my life were right there in a maximum security prison for a crime that I did not commit.
And is that something you still feel keenly, those lost years of your youth you had to spend in prison?
You know, I oftentimes am reminded of why it is that I picked up this battalion to fight in this legal field by the simple things. I could be over my mother's house, enjoying dinner with the family. We all pull out the pictures. Everyone has a photo album book. Well, some pictures of folks may continue all the way through. And oftentimes when I get to the picture where right after high school, there's no pictures of me, it reminds me of just how much was taken from me.
And how did you come to the decision to try to enroll in law school? Was that something that you spent a lot of time thinking about while you were inside?
You know, I just thought about how much this had impacted me and my family. I thought about how much life had been lost. And I thought about the conversations over the years that my mother and I, my aunts had had. And they were telling me about the history and about how this isn't just Jarrett Adams. This is a thing in the United States that has yet to be addressed. And so I started to educate myself. And when I came home after getting much needed therapy, I thought that there is no better way for me to put a bow on what happened to me in my life by giving and dedicating my life to the others who are in similar situations.
And what role did the Wisconsin Innocence Project play in that realization of yours? How much did they help you realize that there was a path for you after exoneration?
You know, the professor who actually exonerated me, his name is Keith Finley. And this is one of the most, thoughtful, compassionate guys who never failed to point out that it was me who helped in so many ways in exonerating myself. And so it gave me the courage to get involved. And also, it just so happens that one of the first cases that I was involved with exonerating was with the Wisconsin Innocence Project. And the guy who reversed my conviction 10 years to the month that I was in a Wisconsin court, we were now co-counsel, and we exonerated another man, Richard Baranek, in 2017.
And what did that feel like, that huge U-turn in your life personally, but also professionally?
It meant a lot for me personally. I looked at how far I traveled, and it just was so daunting of a task. It took so much out of me and my family. It meant a lot because it told me that there are opportunities for me to inspire kids to do exactly what I did without having to go through what I went through. A lot of times in these inner cities, sometimes the goals and dreams and aspirations of the kids are no further than a playground or the microphone as being a rapper. I pray to God that my story and that this book will allow an opportunity to inspire other youth to pick up a law degree, because that's how we get to true equality in the United States.
And as you pursued your studies in law, was there anything about the US justice system that you learned that shocked you, or do you think that you'd experienced everything already firsthand in jail?
No, I continue to see the systematic things that disproportionately affect African Americans in our criminal justice system here in the United States. And I came to the realization, like so many others who know as well that are in this field, this is not by mistake. This is by a design, and it was designed by folks who were not equal and representation. There were no black people at the table when they were creating the criminal justice system. So how on earth do we expect it to protect and treat equally African Americans? And so a part of this going to go get this law degree, creating this story was not to impress people. It was to impress upon people the importance of us truly reforming the criminal justice system and not just talking about it.
And do you think that reform, concrete reform, is afoot?
I think that we have a lot of work to do. And I think that until we put people who are closely affected in leadership positions, then we're really doing nothing more but political banter and talking. If we could look at the criminal justice system and the people who go in it as valuable people, no matter what their color is, and contributors to society, then I think that we would start to treat the people who go there and come in and come out like human beings. And it's something that we just haven't gotten to because the leadership has to become diverse.
Now, you're also a co-founder of Life After Justice, which is a non-profit organisation that works to help people navigate their lives post-exoneration. What, in your experiences, are the largest challenges faced by people once they're freed after being found not guilty of the crimes they were convicted of?
Yeah, I started Life After Justice with another exoneree, and me and this exoneree, Antoine Day, we met in 2007 when I was released. I was released in February of 2007. And I remember him having a conversation with me because I was the youngest exoneree at this conference this year. And I remember him saying how he had been out 8 years at that point, and he had still been struggling. He had came home to taking care of his mother, who was now, ill. She had, been and visiting him for over these years. So we created this idea of how do we battle injustice and help reclaim the lives of those who are affected by the criminal justice system. And so we came up with this idea, and we used exactly what we had went through and started to attack those things. For example, when we come home, there's no mental health care at all. There's no health care at all. And it's just something that shouldn't be. And I think many people are confused when you see cases overturned. You instantly think that's it, the cavalry has come, but that's not true. When the lights stop flashing, the cameras stop clicking, men and women are faced to put their lives together on their own, or if they have a family, if they're fortunate to have one.
And let's just go back to the other side of that story, the beginning of that story. What is it that prevents so many people from seeking or from acquiring decent legal representation when they find themselves accused of a crime in the United States?
In the United States, there's no better way for me to say this. Justice is for sale. 80% of the people who are accused of criminal crimes are usually people from inner cities, impoverished, and they cannot afford an attorney. And it's not to say that our public defense system in America is just in shambles, but they are overwhelmed. They cannot handle the weight of people coming in and out. So many people are not pleading guilty because they're guilty. They're pleading guilty because they can't afford to prove their innocence. And that is a robbing of everything that makes a person American.
Jarrett Adams, I'm so sorry, we're going to have to leave it there. A fascinating conversation, extraordinary work. Jarrett Adams, exoneree, attorney and author now. Thank you very much for speaking to us here on France 24.
Thank you.